Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are putting our foot down on the accelerator of global transportation change.
We really are.
We're looking beyond the old headlines, the ones about subsidies and policy debates, and deep diving into the tech and the financial earthquakes that are restructuring the electric vehicle market right now.
Specifically in 2025.
Exactly. Focusing on these huge price wars and, frankly, unbelievable speed breakthroughs.
Mhm.
I mean, the central narrative has just completely flipped. EVs are no longer this niche proposition.
Not at all.
They're moving so fast from being an aspiration to just being the inevitable, cost-effective default choice for people.
Right.
So our mission today is to give you a shortcut to being really, really well-informed. We're going to synthesize the big macro analysis from the IEA's Global EV Outlook 2025.
Which sets the stage for just, exponential growth.
Exactly. And we're going to blend that with hard, real-world data, like what's happening right now with pricing from the giants in Asia. We need to get to the bottom of what's driving affordability, this radical shift in charging speed and how manufacturing dominance is making it all happen.
And if you start with that IEA data, the first thing that jumps out is this powerful paradox.
Okay.
Global EV sales, they're forecast to go past 20 million vehicles in 2025.
20 million.
That means worldwide, more than a quarter of all new cars sold will be electric. I mean, that's just monumental growth.
It's a huge number.
But here's the pivot. The reliance on government incentives. It's almost gone.
Really?
In 2024, direct government spending on subsidies was less than 7% of the total spending on electric cars.
Globally.
Wow, that's a staggering drop.
Yeah.
I remember we used to think that government support was like the life support for the whole EV industry.
It was. Back in 2017, subsidies made up 20% of the total spend.
So if that government safety net is shrinking, what on earth is fueling this explosive demand in 2025? It's the shift from, let's say, policy-driven demand to pure market economics. The market has finally matured.
It doesn't need the handouts anymore.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What's driving growth now is, well, it's price parity. And maybe even more important, it's the reduction in the total cost of ownership, the TCO, for you, the consumer.
So the whole package, purchase price, running costs.
The whole thing. It's suddenly tipping in favor of the electric car, and that's being driven by massive, massive manufacturing efficiency.
And that's coming primarily out of Asia.
Primarily Asia, yes. This efficiency is what lets the market keep booming, even when subsidies just vanish. You could say the engineers have finally beaten the accountants.
Okay, let's unpack that affordability angle because that feels like the most disruptive change of all. Where is this price parity really hitting critical mass?
The change is, it is unequivocally centered in China. That is the new global manufacturing hub.
Right.
The IEA data shows that in 2024, an astonishing 2/3 of all electric cars sold in China were priced lower than their gasoline equivalents.
2/3 were cheaper.
Cheaper. And that's before you even factor in any purchase incentives.
Wow. That's a situation we just don't see in Europe or North America right now.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And China has made the switch financially irresistible. They've used a mix of market forces and some really targeted stimulus.
Like that trade-in scheme I've been reading about.
Exactly. They rolled out this massive nationwide trade-in program. If you replace an older vehicle with a new EV, the government gives you 20,000 CNY.
Which is about, what, $2,700 US dollars?
Roughly, yeah. About 2,750.
And what if you decide to replace your old car with another gas model?
You only get 15,000 CNY. So about $2,050.
So they're actively tilting the scales. They're making the electric choice the smarter financial move.
Explicitly, this isn't just about the environment anymore. It's a powerful industrial policy.
And you can see the ripples of this pricing strategy spreading out, right? Especially in emerging markets where every dollar counts.
Absolutely. The introduction of these super competitive Chinese EV models is completely changing the math in Latin America, Southeast Asia.
Let's take Brazil as an example.
Perfect example. The price gap between a new battery EV and a conventional car there, it just shrank dramatically from over 100% more expensive in 2023.
So more than double the price.
Right. Down to just a 25% premium in 2024.
In 1 year. That's not evolution, that's a revolution.
And it's not because of local manufacturing, it's imports. Chinese brands made up a staggering 85% of all EV sales in Brazil last year.
85%. That is market dominance right out of the gate. But doesn't that kind of influx from one region introduce risks? Dependency or maybe even protectionist tariffs?
That's the critical counter question, and it's why the big OEMs are diversifying. They know that kind of dependency can trigger protectionism.
So they're building factories elsewhere.
Right, which we'll get to. But in the short term, this import strategy is profoundly effective. I mean, look at Mexico. The average EV price premium dropped from over 100% to 50% in the same period,
Man, Chinese imports.
reached two-thirds of all sales. It's just, it's restructuring entire vehicle landscapes almost overnight.
And here's where it gets really fascinating for you, the consumer. We don't just have that macro data. We have real-time proof of how this aggressive pricing actually looks in a showroom.
Right now, in 2025.
We've got the specific data from the BYD Black Friday Weeks, which is valid through the end of November. And the price advantages are, they're massive.
It's hard to overstate.
Let's make it tangible. Their budget model, the BYD Dolphin S-Surf, it's listed at a special price of just under 19,000 euros, 18,990.
Okay, already pretty compelling.
But then they add on a Black Friday bonus of up to 8,000 euros.
8,000. So you're looking at a car for potentially 11,000 euros.
That's a discount that just it obliterates the price difference with a conventional gas car.
And what's important is that this isn't just a loss leader on the cheapest model.
No.
This aggressive bonus structure, it's across their entire portfolio. It's supported by their immense scale. You look at their big family SUV, the BYD Tang,
Which starts around 57,000 euros.
56,990. It offers a bonus of up to 18,010 euros.
18,000 euros off.
Even the mid-range models, like the Seal 6 Touring, it starts around 31,000 and has a bonus that can hit 16,000. These aren't just seasonal sales.
No, this is a strategic move. This is a full-scale global land grab. And to offer a discount like that, 18,000 on a 57,000 euro car, that requires enormous efficiency behind the scenes.
Exactly. This is the crucial connection. To sustain those discounts, you have to master your supply chain and your logistics.
And Chinese OEMs are doing that in two ways.
Two main ways, yes. First, they are expanding overseas manufacturing like crazy. Places like Brazil, Hungary, to get around tariffs and cut shipping costs. And second, they are verticalizing their logistics.
Meaning they're taking control of the shipping process itself.
The clearest example just happened in 2025. BYD commissioned the world's largest roll-on, roll-off vessel, a ro-ro ship,
Just for their own cars.
designed specifically to carry its own cars. More than 30,000 EVs at a time, direct from China to global ports.
So they're cutting out the middleman, the shipping companies.
Completely. They secure the entire pipeline, they guarantee the cost and the flow of their product. The manufacturing efficiency now extends all the way to the shipping lane.
Okay, so the price barrier is collapsing, the cars are flowing globally. But the twin bottlenecks have always been range anxiety and slow charging.
And that's the next great frontier that's being rewritten, and fast. I mean, the global deployment of public charging, it's doubled in the past 2 years.
Which is good.
It's positive, but the pace is really uneven. When you look at markets like the US and the UK, the number of EVs per public charging point actually increased in 2024.
So sales are outpacing the infrastructure build-out.
Seriously lagging behind. And for you, the driver, that translates into very real range anxiety and, frustrating queues at chargers.
Which brings us to the breakthrough that really defines 2025, the charging speed revolution. We've heard the numbers, but let's dive into the physics. How is 400 kilometers in 5 minutes even possible?
This is where the battery architecture and the power electronics become the star of the show. In March of 2025, BYD set this new benchmark with its Super E platform.
And their claim is radical.
It is. They're saying around 400 kilometers, that's nearly 250 miles of range
Yeah.
in just 5 minutes of charging.
It's lightning fast. For perspective, a typical Tesla supercharger gives you, about 100 kilometers in that same 5 minutes?
Around that, yes. So we're talking about a 4-fold increase in the charging rate.
So how'd they do that? What's the jump?
It's a combination of technologies,
Yeah.
but the key is moving to a high voltage system, specifically a 5,000-volt architecture.
Right.
Think of voltage like water pressure in a hose. If you want to push more power through the same pipe, you crank up the pressure.
And to handle that pressure,
You need next generation silicon carbide power chips, SALT-A chips. They are way better than traditional silicon because they can handle much higher power loads and, critically, manage the heat way more efficiently.
and these chips let the vehicle safely connect to what was it, 1 megawatt charging?
1 megawatt charging equipment. I mean, that's an enormous load that used to be reserved for, like, heavy-duty trucks.
But pouring 1 megawatt of power into a charging station, that immediately raises the question of grid strain, right? If thousands of cars start doing this, the local utility is going to have a major problem.
That's the big infrastructure challenge. And the solution ties directly back to their core expertise, batteries.
So they're putting batteries at the charging station.
Exactly. Integrating battery storage right there at the location. BYD announced they're deploying 4,000 of these megawatt chargers, all supported by on-site battery storage in China.
The storage acts as a buffer.
A perfect buffer. The station can slowly pull power from the grid all day, store it up in its battery, and then dump that enormous 1 megawatt charge into your car in that 5-minute window.
All without causing a surge on the local grid. That's a very elegant solution.
It bridges what the consumer wants, which is speed, with what the grid can actually handle.
Okay, let's shift gears now to the commercial sector, where the focus is even more intense on economics. For logistics, total cost of ownership, TCO, is everything.
And the TCO picture for commercial vehicles is already radically different depending on where you are in the world.
Right.
In China, the TCO for a battery electric heavy-duty truck is already lower than a diesel truck, at least in some applications.
Why are they hitting parity so much faster with these huge vehicles?
It's a dual factor, operational savings and the initial component cost. In China, electricity costs about 65% less than diesel per kilometer.
So the fuel savings are enormous.
Huge. And crucially, their domestic battery prices are just lower, which brings down the sticker price of the truck itself.
Now, what about the U.S.?
Contrast that with the U.S. In 2024, the diesel truck TCO is almost 20% cheaper than the battery electric version.
So diesel is still winning there.
For now. But we expect that gap to close pretty fast, with parity hitting around 2030. It all depends on utility rates and, of course, the continued drop in battery costs.
And that drop in cost has to be driven by specific battery chemistries, right?
It absolutely is. We have to talk about lithium iron phosphate batteries, LFP.
Okay.
This chemistry is crucial for driving down costs. LFP made up nearly half of the global EV battery market in 2024. And in China, it was nearly 3/4 of their domestic battery demand.
And what makes LFP so much cheaper?
It's the materials science. It doesn't rely on expensive and sometimes controversial materials like nickel and cobalt. It uses widely available cheap materials, lithium, iron, phosphate.
So it's not quite as energy dense, but it's much cheaper.
Exactly. And it's also extremely durable and safe, which makes it the perfect choice for cost-conscious fleets and high-volume passenger cars. It really is the engine of global affordability. And before we wrap, we should just touch on that other interesting price point.
The difference between hybrids and full EVs.
Yeah. The price per kilowatt hour for a battery pack in a plug-in hybrid, a PHEV, is more than 3 times higher than for a pure battery electric vehicle, a BEV.
That seems counterintuitive. The packs and hybrids are so much smaller.
It's about power versus size. A PHEV battery is tiny, but it has to deliver this huge burst of power really quickly to help the engine.
For acceleration.
Right. And that requires really complex engineering at high power components, which just drives the cost per kilowatt hour way, way up.
That brings us to the end of this deep dive into the 2025 EV market. I mean, what we've seen today is this powerful convergence. You have affordability driven by Asian manufacturing that doesn't need subsidies anymore.
You have exponential increases in charging speed, a game-changing 400 kilometers in 5 minutes.
And then commercial vehicle TCO reaching parity in these key global markets.
The speed of this transition is it's self-sustaining now. It's not about policy anymore. It's about pure cost savings and performance gains.
It's an amazing point. We really hope this gave you a clear, objective look at what's truly moving the needle in transportation. We've gone from deep discounts to 1,000-volt architecture and seen how a cheaper battery chemistry like LFP is reshaping logistics. So here's the final provocative thought for you to mull over. What does it mean for the future when the lowest priced vehicles are, at the same time, the technology leaders in speed and charging?
That's a profound shift.
It really is. The speed of innovation in 2025 suggests the switch to EVs is less about convincing consumers anymore and more about just delivering undeniable cost savings and convenience.
The choice becomes obvious.
It becomes obvious. So thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. If you enjoyed getting this complete, well-researched picture, please remember to follow our channel so you don't miss any of our future analysis.
We'd appreciate it.
We'll catch you next time.